You're going to sell this land one way or another. Cole Blackwell stood in the middle of my private dirt road with his black SUV parked sideways behind him. The vehicle blocked the only path between my house and the county road. His phone was held upright, broadcasting live. Two contractors stood near the fence with their arms folded. His mother, Vanessa Blackwell, waited beside the locked gate in white sunglasses, pretending to speak with emergency dispatch. I stopped my truck 20 feet away and stepped out. Move the SUV. Cole smiled at the camera. There he is, the bitter old veteran holding an entire community hostage. The sign beside him read, "Private property, no trespassing." He had walked past it anyway. You received a written no trespass notice, I said. Leave now. My family can buy 10 farms like this. But you don't own this one. His smile disappeared. Cole had trained in wrestling, kickboxing, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He had amateur MMA trophies and thousands of followers who enjoyed watching him intimidate people. He stepped closer. You were tough in the military? Prove it. I'm not fighting you. He shoved my shoulder. I moved back and kept my hands open. Do not touch me again. He glanced toward Vanessa. She gave a small nod. Cole threw a jab, then drove forward for a body lock. I lowered my weight, redirected his shoulder, and guided him onto the dirt. Within seconds, I controlled his wrist and pinned his shoulder without striking him once. Vanessa screamed that I had attacked her son. But above us, hidden in an oak tree, a trail camera was still recording. It had captured Cole's attack. More importantly, it had recorded the conversation between Cole and his mother before I arrived. By sunset, the police would know who planned the confrontation. Within a week, county officials would discover why the Blackwells needed my road, and why they had listed my private well as part of their multi-million-dollar resort. But this fight did not begin on the dirt road. It began 3 months earlier, when I came home to bury my father. My father, Henry Mercer, spent 78 years on the same 38 acres. The land had belonged to our family for 3 generations. It was not a grand ranch. There was a small farmhouse, an aging barn, a private dirt road, and a stone-lined well near the northern boundary. Behind the house stood an enormous oak tree where my mother's ashes had been buried. My father called the place ordinary, but he defended every foot of it. When I returned after his funeral, I found his boots beside the back door and his coffee cup on the kitchen counter. The barn smelled like oil, hay, and cedar shavings. Inside his desk was a stack of letters from developers who had tried to buy the property over the years. Every offer had been refused. The most recent letter came from Blackwell Ridge Development. It offered far less than the land's strategic value. My father had written across the front in red ink, "No road, no water, no sale." Beneath the letters was his farm journal. The final entry had been written 2 weeks before his death. Jack, this land kept our family standing when money was short and times were bad. Don't let someone with more money decide what it means. I read that sentence several times. After leaving the Navy, I had spent years training corporate security teams and emergency response units. I had lived in hotels, apartments, and temporary houses. None of those places felt like home. So I stayed. I repaired the farmhouse roof, cleared the road, and began restoring the barn. 2 days later, a black SUV entered through the northern gate without permission. Vanessa Blackwell stepped out holding a leather portfolio. Her family owned the new development beyond my eastern boundary. She introduced herself as the president of the Ridgeview HOA. Then she unfolded a purchase agreement on my father's kitchen table. "This area is changing," she said. "You can either benefit from progress or stand in its way." I closed the agreement. Progress doesn't require taking someone else's land. Her smile tightened. "No," she said, "but progress rarely waits for one man." That was the first warning. Vanessa's offer covered 12 acres, the northern gate, the private road, and permanent access to the old well. She called it a generous package. It was not. Her family's proposed resort sat on 80 acres of rocky land behind mine. The main entrance connected to a narrow mountain road that could not safely handle construction traffic or emergency vehicles. My dirt road offered the shortest route to the county highway. The well was even more valuable. It tapped an aquifer with enough capacity to provide emergency water for the development. Vanessa wanted both for less than half their true value. "I'm not selling," I said. She leaned back. "You haven't reviewed the numbers." "I reviewed the property description. You would keep the house and most of the acreage. I would lose control of the road. It would become a professionally maintained access route. It would become your road." Her expression hardened. "You don't use most of this land. That doesn't make it yours." She gathered the papers slowly. "You should think about how difficult it is to maintain rural property alone. I've handled difficult situations before. Yes, we know about your military background." I had never told her I served. Before leaving, she paused beside the barn. "That structure may not meet current neighborhood standards. This land existed before your neighborhood. Standards evolve." The following morning, I found orange stakes running along the eastern edge of my property. They marked a path from the Blackwell development to my road. A contractor had crossed the fence and surveyed nearly 300 yards without permission. I photographed every stake before removing them. That afternoon, the HOA sent a violation notice. It claimed my locked gate obstructed emergency access. The second notice called the barn a visual blight. The third alleged that my tractor reduced nearby property values. I checked the county map and HOA boundaries. Only the newest 5-acre parcel near my mailbox fell within Ridgeview's architectural review zone. The road, barn, well, and remaining acreage did not. I sent a written appeal. Vanessa rejected it the same day. Her reply contained one sentence that mattered. "Continued resistance may result in enhanced enforcement and legal review." I printed the email and opened a file. My father had preserved the land with fences and letters. I would preserve it with records. The violations arrived every few days. One claimed my trail cameras were unauthorized surveillance. Another described the dirt road as unsafe and poorly maintained. The old well became an environmental concern. The barn was labeled an unapproved commercial structure, even though county records showed it had existed since 1954. The tractor parked behind it was called abandoned machinery. Each notice used the same phrases: community safety, property values, emergency access, neighborhood improvement. None of them explained how the HOA had authority over the disputed areas. I responded to every notice by certified mail. I included maps, permit records, dated photographs, and the relevant sections of the bylaws. Vanessa denied every appeal. Then an HOA inspector arrived with 2 security guards. He demanded access to the barn and well. I stood inside the locked gate. "Show me the order authorizing entry." "This is an administrative inspection. Administrative authority ends at my property line." Vanessa called from the inspector's phone. "You are creating unnecessary conflict. You sent strangers onto private land. We are documenting potential hazards. From the public road? If necessary, we will seek emergency authority." That phrase mattered. Emergency authority could be used to justify temporary entry while the dispute was reviewed. If they established routine access, even briefly, the Blackwells might later claim the road functioned as a community road. I installed additional cameras. One covered the northern gate. 2 trail cameras watched the road. Another faced the well. Inside the barn, a small camera recorded the door and workbench. The following week, I received an anonymous complaint alleging that I had threatened contractors with a firearm. I owned firearms legally, but none had been present during any encounter. The accusation was designed to portray me as unstable. I filed a report with the sheriff's office and provided the footage showing every contractor visit. No weapon appeared. No threat was made. The deputy who reviewed the videos advised me to keep recording. I already intended to. Vanessa was trying to turn routine property enforcement into a public safety case. To do that, she needed an incident. Someone would have to provoke me. 3 days later, her son Cole drove through my gate and began filming himself in the middle of my road. Cole Blackwell arrived in a customized SUV with a camera mounted on the dashboard. He parked beside the barn and began filming a fitness video. He dragged a training tire from the back of the vehicle and placed it in the road. When I approached, he was striking it with a sledgehammer. "This is private property," I said. He continued for another swing before turning. "My mom said this road is shared access. Your mother is wrong." He looked toward his camera. "Here he is. The old hermit who thinks he owns the mountain. I own this road. My family is bringing jobs and investment here. That does not give you access." Cole stepped closer. He was 27, athletic, and very aware of both facts. "My family could buy 10 farms like this. But you don't own this one." His jaw tightened. He lifted his phone and aimed it at my face. "Why are you threatening me? I'm asking you to leave. You've been threatening contractors for weeks. I have video proving otherwise." That made him glance toward the trail camera above the gate. He smiled again. "Cameras fail. Records don't." Cole loaded the tire into his SUV, but did not leave immediately. He walked toward the oak tree, where my mother's memorial stone stood. Maybe the resort should put a walking trail here. I moved between him and the tree. "That area is not for sale. Everything has a price." "Not everything." He finally drove away. That evening, he posted an edited video online. It showed me standing between him and the oak tree. The caption read, "Bitter veteran threatens local business owner over community road." He removed the footage of himself using the road without permission. He removed my requests for him to leave. He kept the moment I stepped in front of him. The comments called me unstable, selfish, and dangerous. I saved the original gate footage, his edited post, and every public accusation. Then I found something more important. Cole's dashboard camera had captured part of the development site before he entered my property. Behind him were stacked pipes, utility markers, and a sign reading, "Blackwell Ridge Resort, Phase 1. The project was further along than Vanessa had admitted, and several utility stakes pointed directly toward my well. The county planning office held the full resort application. Blackwell Ridge Resort would include 62 villas, a clubhouse, a spa, restaurants, a pool complex, and an artificial lake. The estimated value exceeded $40 million. The site plan listed 2 access roads. The first connected to the narrow mountain entrance. The second crossed my northern gate and followed my private dirt road. It was labeled, "Existing Community Emergency Access." That road had never served the community. It had served my family's farmhouse, barn, and fields. The water plan contained an even larger lie. My well was listed as an approved emergency reserve source. The application cited a historic water use agreement signed by my father. I requested a copy. The document carried Henry Mercer's name and a date 6 months after he died. The signature was forged. I called Grace Moreno, an attorney who specialized in property and water rights disputes. We spread the documents across my father's kitchen table. Grace examined the easement claim first. "No recorded easement exists," she said. "I know. The county relied on this certification when approving preliminary review." She moved to the water agreement. "This signature is easy to challenge. Death records alone disprove the date." Why take such an obvious risk? Because they expected to control the property before anyone checked. We hired a licensed surveyor. He confirmed the road, gate, well, and utility corridor lay entirely within my deed. A water specialist confirmed that the well rights belonged exclusively to the property. Then we found an older letter in my father's records. 3 years earlier, Richard Blackwell had asked to purchase emergency road and water access. My father refused in writing. He kept the certified delivery receipt. That letter proved the Blackwells knew they lacked permission. Grace recommended filing for an immediate injunction. I considered it. But Vanessa was still sending violations and creating accusations. Cole was still filming. The contractor was still crossing the fence. They believed pressure was working. "Not yet," I said. Grace looked at me carefully. "You want more evidence. I want them to explain the plan in their own words." We filed preservation notices with the county and sheriff, but did not reveal the forged documents publicly. Then I posted new no trespassing signs and sent formal notice to every member of the Blackwell family. 2 days later, Vanessa began preparing Cole for the confrontation. The trail camera recorded the entire conversation. I treated the property like an incident site. Every entry point had coverage. The northern gate camera recorded faces and license plates. 2 trail cameras watched the dirt road from opposite angles. The dashboard camera in my truck captured anything directly ahead. The barn camera recorded audio. A separate recorder inside the old tool cabinet uploaded files automatically. Grace sent no trespass notices to Vanessa, Richard, Cole, the HOA, and every contractor named in the resort application. The letters clearly stated that no emergency, utility, construction, or community access right existed. Copies went to the sheriff and county planning office. Then we built the paper trail, the original deed, the survey, the water rights registration, my father's refusal letter, the forged access agreement, the permit application, the HOA violations, Cole's edited videos, the anonymous weapons complaint. Each document revealed part of the same pressure campaign. A contractor named Luis contacted me privately. He had worked on the resort's underground utilities. Vanessa told his crew that the road issue would soon be resolved through HOA enforcement. Richard instructed them to prepare equipment for access through my gate. Luis provided an email from the project manager. It read, "Maintain readiness. A legal and safety event is expected to clear the North Corridor." Grace read the sentence twice. They are expecting an incident, or creating one. She asked whether I wanted to file the injunction immediately. Not yet. They may escalate. They already have. I pointed toward the camera monitor. The Blackwells needed me to appear dangerous. They needed police involvement, a protective order, or an emergency restriction that prevented me from controlling the road. If they could temporarily occupy the route during county review, they might claim the access problem was resolved. Grace warned me not to meet Cole alone. I agreed. The cameras would be present. So would the sheriff's dispatcher once anything began. The next morning, my gate camera recorded Vanessa and Cole standing outside my property. Vanessa held a folder. Cole wore training clothes. She told him, "Keep filming." He asked, "What if he just walks away? Block the road. And if he calls the police?" "We need him to touch you first." Cole smiled. "He'll touch me." Vanessa looked toward my house. Everyone loses control when you embarrass them enough. They had no idea the trail camera was 6 feet above them. Vanessa spent the next week preparing the neighborhood. She sent an HOA alert claiming I had become increasingly aggressive. She described my locked gate as a threat to emergency response. She repeated the false weapons complaint. Cole posted another video calling me a paranoid veteran with combat issues. Then Vanessa contacted the sheriff's office. She reported that I had threatened her son during a property dispute. The gate footage showed no such threat, but the report created another entry in the record she wanted to build. Grace requested a copy. Vanessa's statement claimed Cole feared for his life. The same afternoon, Cole live-streamed himself laughing about how easily he could handle an old man. The contradiction was useful. I saved both. On Friday, a contractor placed gravel near my northern boundary. It looked like preparation for a temporary road. I told him to remove it. He said Richard Blackwell had assured him access would be available by Monday. Monday became the likely date. I checked every camera. The Oak Tree Trail camera had a clear view of the gate. The road camera covered the center stretch. The truck recorder was fully charged. Grace notified the sheriff's office that a confrontation might be staged. They could not send a deputy without an active incident, but the warning was documented. Monday morning, I drove to the southern field to inspect fencing. At 9:48, my phone showed Cole's SUV approaching. He parked sideways across the dirt road. 2 contractors arrived behind him. Vanessa remained outside the gate with her vehicle. Cole positioned his phone on a tripod and began live streaming. Then he moved one of my private property signs and laid it face down in the grass. Vanessa walked to him. Her voice carried clearly through the trail camera. "Remember, He has to make first contact. Cole rolled his shoulders. He won't walk away from me. Do not injure him badly. What if he fights? Then you defend yourself. She looked toward the house. Once the police remove him, the contractor opens the road. That was the plan. A staged confrontation. A temporary protective order. Immediate construction access. I called the sheriff's dispatcher, started the truck camera, and drove toward them. Cole saw me coming. He turned to his live stream and smiled. Here we go. Cole's SUV blocked the narrowest section of the road. The contractor trucks waited behind it. I stopped 20 feet away and left the engine running so the dashboard camera would continue recording. You're obstructing private access, I said. Cole faced his phone. He thinks he can trap the entire resort behind a gate. This road does not lead to your resort. It will. Move the vehicle. He walked toward me. You're going to sell this land one way or another. No? You think one old deed can stop $40 million? It already has. That answer angered him. The live stream audience was watching, and Cole needed control of the scene. He pointed toward the barn. This place is falling apart. You're holding everyone back because you can't let go of your dead father's farm. The comment was deliberate. He knew what the property meant. Vanessa had told him where to strike. I kept my voice steady. You were served a no trespass notice. Leave now. He stepped past the fallen private property sign. My mother says this road is emergency access. Your mother signed false statements. Vanessa raised her phone near the gate. Jack, stop threatening my son. I'm telling him to leave. Cole came within arm's reach. You were tough in the military, right? I'm not discussing my service. Maybe you were never anything. Move the SUV. He pushed my shoulder. I took one step back. The contractors watched. Vanessa continued filming. Cole, I said, do not touch me again. He turned toward his live stream. You see that? He's threatening me. No, I'm warning you. Cole gave his mother a quick glance. She nodded. He threw a short jab toward my face. I moved outside the line. The punch missed. Stop, I said. Instead, he drove forward and wrapped his arms around my waist. He expected strength to solve the position. I lowered my center of gravity, shifted my hips, and redirected his momentum toward the road. Cole hit the dirt on his side. I controlled his wrist and secured his shoulder. No punch, no choke, no unnecessary pressure. He tried to rise. I adjusted the angle slightly. Stop moving. Vanessa screamed into her phone. He's attacking my son. Sirens sounded in the distance. Cole looked up at me, shocked. He had come to manufacture a victim. He had not realized every camera showed who attacked first. Cole continued struggling beneath me. His MMA training was real. He understood escapes, leverage, and ground position. But he had entered angry, rushed the takedown, and given up control of his balance. Training does not erase bad judgment. It only makes bad judgment faster. Get off me, he said. Stop resisting. You're hurting my shoulder. Then stop turning it. I kept my knee beside his ribs, not on them. My grip controlled his wrist without damaging the joint. He could breathe. He could speak. He simply could not attack again. One contractor moved closer. Sir, maybe let him go. When he stops resisting, Cole froze. I released him immediately and stood with my hands open. He rolled away and pushed himself up. Dust covered his shirt. His face showed anger, embarrassment, and confusion. He had expected either a frightened old man or an uncontrolled veteran. I had given him neither. Vanessa hurried through the gate. You assaulted him. No, I saw you throw him down. You saw him attack. Cole looked toward the contractors. Tell them he hit me. Neither answered. I pointed toward the SUV. Move it. He raised his fists again. A contractor named Luis stepped between us. That's enough. Cole shoved him aside. Luis recovered and stared at me. Recognition appeared slowly on his face. Mercer? I looked at him. He had served in the Navy years earlier, though I had known him under a different rank and uniform. "Commander Mercer?" he asked. Vanessa stopped speaking. Cole looked from Luis to me. "What did you call him?" Luis faced the group. "He led a rescue training unit attached to Naval Special Warfare." Cole rubbed his shoulder. "You led SEALs?" I said nothing. Luis continued. "He trained teams to recover hostages without killing the people they were trying to save." Cole stared at me. Luis pointed toward the dirt. "He didn't beat you. He controlled you." The first patrol car turned through the gate. Vanessa raised her phone again and began shouting that her son had been assaulted. But now the contractor, the live stream, the dashboard camera, and 3 trail cameras all showed the same thing. Cole had attacked. I had stopped him. And the confrontation Vanessa needed had become evidence against her. Deputy Owen Hart stepped out of the patrol car with his body camera running. A second deputy followed. Vanessa reached them first. My son was attacked by a mentally unstable veteran. Hart looked past her. Cole stood beside the SUV, covered in dust. I remained near my truck with both hands visible. "Who called?" Hart asked. "I did," I said. Vanessa pointed at me. He pinned Cole to the ground. "After Cole assaulted me." "That's a lie." Cole said, "He used military techniques." Hart looked at him. "Did you enter the property?" "This is an emergency road." I handed the deputy the deed summary, survey, and no trespass notice. He read the first page. "This states the road is private." Vanessa interrupted. "The HOA disputes that. The HOA is not the owner." Luis approached carefully. I witnessed the confrontation. Hart separated him from the others and took his statement. Luis explained that Cole crossed the sign, pushed me, threw the first punch, and attempted a takedown. Then Hart asked about my background. Luis answered before I could. Commander Mercer trained rescue teams. He used restraint because he knew exactly what he was doing. Cole looked at me differently now. He had assumed military service meant an old uniform, a few stories, and damaged pride. He did not understand what rescue training required. A hostage operation demanded patience. You entered a room where every movement could injure the person you were trying to save. Control mattered more than aggression. Precision mattered more than strength. The deputy asked whether Cole was injured. He had minor redness on the wrist and dirt on his clothes. No broken bones. No cuts. No head impact. Hart turned toward me. "Did you strike him?" "No." "Choke him?" "No." "Continue after he stopped?" "No." Then I opened the camera application. The first video showed Vanessa and Cole speaking before I arrived. Her recorded voice said, "We need him to touch you first." Cole's face changed. Vanessa stepped forward. That is not the full conversation. The next clip played. Once the police remove him, the contractor opens the road. Deputy Hart looked toward the waiting construction vehicles. Then he turned back to Vanessa. This is no longer only an assault complaint. He asked both her and Cole to remain where they were. The title Luis had used explained my restraint. The cameras explained their plan. The deputies reviewed the recordings beside the hood of my truck. The gate camera showed Cole entering after receiving written notice. The trail camera showed Vanessa coaching him. The dashboard footage captured the entire confrontation. Cole's livestream provided a fourth angle. Every recording supported the same sequence. I asked him to leave. He refused. He pushed me. I warned him. He punched first. He attempted the body lock. I controlled him and released him when he stopped. Vanessa's recording told a different story only because she started filming after Cole blocked the road. The full timeline destroyed it. Deputy Hart asked Cole to place his hands behind his back. Vanessa stepped forward. "You cannot arrest him. He was defending himself." The video shows him initiating physical contact. This man provoked him. Telling someone to leave private property is not provocation. Cole was arrested for criminal trespass, assault, and obstruction of access. The deputies did not immediately arrest Vanessa. They preserved her phone and asked her to come to the station for an interview. Then Hart examined the contractor vehicles. The crews had gravel, culvert pipe, and temporary road mats. Their work order instructed them to begin opening the north corridor at 10:30. That was less than an hour after Cole planned to create the incident. Luis provided the project email describing a legal and safety event expected to clear the route. The deputies photographed it. Grace arrived before the vehicles left. She handed Hart copies of the forged easement and water agreement. Both documents carried my father's name after his death. The case expanded immediately. County planning officials were contacted. The resort's north access work was suspended before the end of the day. Investigators obtained Cole's phone. His messages contained Vanessa's instructions. Block the road. Keep filming. Make him touch you first. Once he is removed, let the crew through. They also found messages from Richard discussing the forged water agreement. The confrontation had never been about Cole proving he was stronger. It was a business tactic. A $40 million development needed a road and a well. The Blackwells had decided that one staged act of violence could provide both. Instead, they gave the county a recorded conspiracy. Investigators searched the resort company's records the following week. The documents revealed that Blackwell Ridge had already promised investors a second emergency road and backup water source. Those promises were necessary to secure financing and preliminary county approval. Without my land, neither existed. Internal emails showed Richard knew this before construction began. One message read, "Mercer access must be acquired or neutralized before fire review." Another said, "If voluntary purchase fails, HOA safety action may establish temporary control." Vanessa coordinated the HOA pressure. Richard managed the permits. Cole created the public confrontation. The contractor prepared to move as soon as police removed me. The forged documents were not isolated mistakes. They were the foundation of the project. Investigators also discovered that the resort company had received development financing based on the false access and water claims. That brought the county fraud unit and state financial investigators into the case. The HOA board scheduled an emergency meeting. Vanessa attempted to frame it as a review of my threatening behavior. But Grace distributed copies of the deed, survey, water records, and police report to every homeowner before the meeting. Residents began comparing their own experiences. Several had received unusual fines after refusing Blackwell purchase offers. One family had been pressured to grant utility access. Another homeowner had been told an old footpath was a community easement even though his deed said otherwise. The pattern expanded beyond my property. Cole agreed to cooperate after reviewing the messages on his phone. He admitted Vanessa told him to provoke me. He also confirmed Richard promised the road would open once a restraining order kept me away. Cole claimed he believed the project had legal rights. That did not excuse the assault, but it showed how his parents used his pride. The county scheduled a public hearing on the resort permits. The hearing would determine whether construction remained suspended. Grace prepared the evidence in sequence. The real deed, the real survey, the forged easement, the forged water agreement, the HOA campaign, the trail camera conversation, the live stream, the contractor work order, the police report. Vanessa had spent months calling this community progress. At the hearing, everyone would see what it truly was. A private land grab financed by public lies. The county chamber was full before the hearing began. Residents, reporters, contractors, investors, and members of the Ridgeview HOA filled every seat. Vanessa sat beside Richard and their attorneys. Cole sat separately with his lawyer. Grace and I took the table across from them. The planning commissioner opened the hearing by asking whether Blackwell Ridge Resort possessed legal emergency access. Richard's attorney said the question remained disputed. Grace stood. "It is not disputed by the deed." She projected the survey. The red boundary line enclosed the road, gate, well, and utility corridor entirely within my property. Then she displayed my father's refusal letter. The certified receipt proved Richard received it 3 years earlier. Next came the forged easement. Grace placed my father's death certificate beside the filing date. The room murmured. The forged water agreement followed. Then the videos began. Vanessa's voice filled the chamber. "We need him to touch you first." The next clip played. Once the police remove him, the contractor opens the road. Nobody spoke. The dashboard footage showed Cole's attack and the controlled takedown. The contractor email appeared next. A legal and safety event is expected to clear the North Corridor. The commissioner turned toward Richard. "Your company scheduled construction access before obtaining lawful rights," Richard attempted to explain. A state investigator entered through the side door with 2 officers. The resort financing documents were now part of a fraud inquiry. The commissioner suspended every remaining permit. The fire access certification was revoked. The water plan was rejected. All construction on the resort stopped immediately. The HOA board held its removal vote in the same chamber. Vanessa lost her presidency by a landslide. The county ordered the temporary road materials removed and the disturbed land restored. As Vanessa left, reporters called questions after her. She had entered expecting to portray me as an obstacle to progress. Instead, the public record showed that her family had created false documents, weaponized HOA authority, and used their own son to manufacture violence. Before the hearing ended, the commissioner asked me whether I intended to reconsider selling. "No," I said. "The road is private, the water is private, and now their plan is public." Blackwell Ridge Resort never recovered. Investors withdrew after the fraud investigation became public. Richard lost control of the development company. Vanessa faced charges related to conspiracy, false statements, and misuse of HOA records. The criminal case moved slowly, but the permits disappeared immediately. Without my road and well, the project could not meet county safety requirements. Cole pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault and criminal trespass. He received probation, community service, and mandatory counseling. His cooperation reduced the sentence. For the first time, he publicly admitted that he had entered my land to provoke a fight. The HOA elected a new board. Financial conflicts had to be disclosed. No emergency access claim could be made without a recorded easement. No board member could use association enforcement to support a private development. My fines were canceled. The weapons complaint was formally withdrawn. The county registered the well as a protected private agricultural source. I placed 12 acres near the oak tree into a family conservation trust. The land could not be transferred for resort access after my death. Then I replaced the northern gate. The old wooden gate had served my father for decades, but the Blackwells had damaged its hinges. The new gate was steel. Beside it, I installed a sign. Private land, no development access. The sign was clear enough that nobody could call the road shared by mistake. 6 months later, Cole returned. He parked outside the gate. He did not livestream. He did not cross the sign. I watched him wait before walking down the road. "I came to apologize," he said. "For attacking me?" "For all of it. The road, the videos, what I said about your father." I remained silent. He looked toward the oak tree. "I thought strength meant making people move. What do you think now? That it means knowing when not to?" He asked whether he could enter and help repair the section of fence damaged by the contractors. "May I come in?" he said. I opened the gate. Not because he had earned a right to the land. He had not. I opened it because for the first time, he understood the difference between access and permission. Vanessa believed money could erase a deed. Cole believed MMA training could erase a boundary. Both were wrong. In the end, the resort was stopped by 3 simple things: a real survey, a camera that kept recording, and a homeowner who refused to lose control.